Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
Proverbs 8. Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice? She standeth in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness, there is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instruction and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the froward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding, I have strength. By me kings reign, and princes decree justice. By me princes rule, and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness, in the midst of the paths of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and I will fill their treasures. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills, was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree that the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights
to victory
with the
and the
sons of
dawn
men.
of a new era.
Now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction, and be wise, and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death.
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
To
Barakatah
victory
Yahweh,
and the
Barakatah
dawn
Yahweh,
of a
Barakatah
new
Yahweh Shai.
era.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashim Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, another morning, news and prophecy. Okay, and this, we're gonna touch on this one is the big scam. All right, and Eve has been singled out. Eve can pat herself on the back, all right, because her madness, on social media, all right, she's found herself at the top of the charts, okay, which we're going to get into that later on, all right, but what we're seeing, play out, especially amongst our people, is they, if they pretty much have leaned so hard, okay, on their enemy, that their enemy has all the leverage, okay, and what we're seeing is the devil, all right, show his horns more and more, okay, and what's happening with our people, all right, they've been the victim of the biggest scam ever, okay, trusting Esau Edom, all right, is the biggest scam, all right, that our people have ever done, and you can go back to the civil rights movement, all right, dealing with this guy MLK, who was nothing but, all right, a CIA operative, okay, set up, to push a heavy psyop on our people as if it was some great accomplishment to be integrated, with Esau, okay, when our people were far better, before, all right, integration, okay, our people were more self-sufficient, there was more people of skill, men and women, okay, the family structure was solid, okay, so forth and so on, okay, but the biggest scam, that our people fell for, was to become integrated in this man government and to think, all right, that you was getting some type of fair shake, okay, and that this devil, had some type of concern about your well-being, okay. So let's get a few precepts. I want to get this start off in Lamentations 4:17, okay, and our people, get duped every time. Every time it comes to dealing with the devil, our people get duped. Okay. And each generation, grows a stronger bond. All right. A stronger dependence, to where they rely on this man more and more. This is Lamentations 4:17. It says, as for us, our eyes, all right, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us, man. Okay, now you go into the history of this, the Southern Kingdom had made alliances with Egypt. Okay, and when the Babylonians rolled, the Egyptians were of no help. Okay, Jake had confidence, that Egypt, would be, a defendant for them, a savior for them. All right, during the invasion of Babylon, but it wasn't. Okay, our people were thoroughly disappointed. Okay, and what we keep seeing over and over again, our people are constantly disappointed, okay, by trusting, okay, in the enemy. You see? And here it is, Esau Edom, is the heathen that hates our people the most. But this is the people, all right, our people trust the most. Okay, showing you that our people suffer from a true, mental illness. Okay. Isaiah 30:1, it says, woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, all right, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Okay, and see, our people, have just constantly gotten worse under this system, under the government, okay, of Esau, all right, mainly here in America. Our people, have a culture where each generation becomes more sinful, more rebellious. You see? And I say trusting this man was the biggest scam, that our people ever fell for. Okay, it says they walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth. And here it is, the Lord has set up the ministry, okay, of prophets, put his spirit on those prophets, okay, to teach, to instruct, to warn, okay, and our people, they bypass the prophets, okay, and they steady look to Egypt, okay, which is America, you see, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh. Yeah, they, their livelihood is based on this man's economy, okay, on his military, okay. They think that in their mind, there's nothing outside the strength of Pharaoh. There's nothing outside the strength of this system. Okay, it says, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt or the protection of Egypt. Okay, it said, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. And then we're going to see our people, okay, more and more confused. All right, as we see the Lord is breaking this place down. Okay, and as Esau, show more and more, all right, that he never gave a damn. Okay, you think Esau cares about leaving, all right, men, women, and children, all right, for dead to starve, even his own people. He doesn't care about the poor of his own people, which he made them poor. Okay, so let's go here. Let's get this video. All right, and these Edomites are finding out the hard way, that their government, all right, is a scam. Okay, because this whole thing with Donald Trump, that was the biggest psyops. That was the biggest bait and switch, okay, the world has ever seen. What these devils did with Donald Trump, this is absolutely the biggest bait and switch that the world has ever seen, man. So let's play this. All right. Now she's going in, I'll put the link in here because she goes into, the effects of this government shutdown and all the things that it's affecting, because healthcare, is going to be another thing that skyrockets as well. Affordable healthcare, because a lot of things that are affordable are due to government subsidies, which the citizen pays a portion for a product or a service, and then the government pays a portion, all right, for a service or a product, and makes those things affordable. Okay, but with this lockdown, there's certain things, all right, it's going to be affected. It's not going to be affordable anymore. Okay, and see the food stamps and HUD, like I say, that's the headliner because of the reaction of the nigger woman, and niggas, okay, and their little, the little nigger babies, okay, but there's going to be a major ripple effect if this thing continues, man. It may, the shutdown continue, man. May the shutdown continue. All right, may niggas, all right, you wicked, all right, Americans, may you lose every goddamn thing. Okay, may this be the saddest holidays that you've ever had. Okay, so let's play this. All right.
Already drowning in it. It will lead to foregone medical treatment that will require more invasive, drastic, and expensive procedures in the future to deal with. It impacts the already strapped hospitals who will go without bills getting paid, and the impacts are devastating for millions of Americans, and they're about to get so much worse. And meanwhile, our leaders in Washington are literally taking a vacation or playing the blame game and pointing fingers on both sides of the aisle and using the machinery of the state to pump out propaganda to try to convince us that there is one party to blame for all of this, betting that we're all just fucking stupid enough to be convinced one way or another. And while polling shows that, generally speaking, people tend to blame the Republicans a bit more for the shutdown because, they run the entire government, and Democrats have made it painfully obvious over the last 10 months that they have zero power, the reality is that this might all spectacularly backfire on all of them. Because while they're at their podiums playing the blame game, real people are being impacted by their political games. Millions and millions of real people are directly experiencing the impacts of Congress literally refusing to do their jobs and then treating us like we're a bunch of idiot swine just waiting to be told who to blame. This level of pain and discomfort might just be enough to radicalize a few million of those Americans into realizing that the entire fucking game is rigged. That we can hem and haw and dissect whether it was a good idea for Democrats to dig in their heels over the ACA subsidies, whether the Republicans should go nuclear and get rid of the filibuster and push this through on a bare majority, which political call is the right one and which one was political suicide, and round, playing this game of politics. Or we can take a step back and see the whole system for what it is. Because what's happening is we have this body of lawmakers, a body of people which is disproportionately wealthy compared to the American people. The median net worth of a Congress member is $1.1 million. That's 12 times higher than the net worth of the median U.S. household. The average CEO is paid 285 times more than their average worker. The top 10% own 90% of all the wealth in the U.S. stock market. Let me say that again, because this one really pisses me off. The top 10% own 90% of all the wealth in the US stock market, which logically means then that the bottom 90% of Americans have access to only 10% of the wealth in the stock market. At almost no other time in US history have we seen such a huge chasm between the lives of the wealthy compared to the lives of the rest of us. The 800 or so billionaires in this country are so untethered to reality, to laws, to humanity, and our government has done nothing, absolutely fucking nothing to stop them. Instead, our politicians are cashing in. Not cashing in for the government, for us, by taxing a fair percentage of their income to pay for the infrastructure and labor that billionaires exploit. No. By rubbing elbows with them, making friends with them, exchanging money for political power, and then being at their beck and call. The revolving door in Washington isn't just between lobbying firms and Congress anymore. It's also between the billionaire class and government at large. Trump's cabinet is filled with the top 1%. People are being given government positions because they donate money. And now they don't even need the government positions. They can just throw millions at a ballroom/bunker and parade in and out of the White House largely at will to conference with the leader of the free world whenever they want. Especially since Citizens United, our Congress does not work for us, the people.
I took two things that I love, dancing and dogs, and I made them into a successful business.
Trump didn't bring this about. This was happening long before he came into office. Studies have shown that the will of the people literally has zero impact on whether or not legislation gets passed. Whether or not people approve of a bill, its chances of passing are around about 30%. But when you control for wealth, when the top 1% don't want a bill to pass, they have the power to block its passage completely through lobbying and campaign finance that controls who runs and who gets elected. So no matter what either party does, whether Democrat or Republican, to pass or not pass an appropriations bill that includes or doesn't include healthcare subsidies, the will of the people will play zero role in that decision. It doesn't matter how many millions of children have to go hungry or how many millions will forego life-saving medical care and suffer horrific consequences. The scale of the suffering does not matter because it is truly only the will of the top 1% that has any sway over the functioning of our government, no matter the political party in charge. And more people are waking up to that fact because we're getting uncomfortable enough to give a shit and to get really fucking angry. Congress, people like Mike Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer playing chicken with our lives, they don't think they have to give a shit because they don't ultimately answer to us. They answer to the top 1%. That's who pays for them to get reelected. That's who pays for their fancy fundraising dinners and the smear campaigns against their running mates and the propaganda that props them up. The rest of us do not matter to them. Not only do they not give two shits about us, they're increasingly hostile towards us on both sides of the aisle. They cannot be bothered with our antics, with our cute little protests, with our needs and wants and demands. It's all very inconvenient and annoying to them. We don't know anything. They and their billionaire donors know better. So just shut up and get back to work like a good little drone. It's insulting. It's condescending. And it goes against the central ethos of a democratic country, the one we're supposed to have, at least in theory. Though, of course, the founders did everything they could to exclude anyone who wasn't a male white landowning elite. So some may argue that it's running exactly as planned, which is why I am staunchly not an originalist, because the Constitution was a starting document that the founders explicitly gave us a process for changing, and they're all dead and buried now, and this is our country. And we don't have to say, well, it's what the founders wanted, so I guess this is it. This is what we're getting. We get to make this country into what we want it to be. Democracy gets its power from the consent of the governed, and that is not what is happening in this country. And the more people who recognize that, especially as their living conditions become more and more precarious, the angrier they will get. And building something better will be the work of our lifetimes. In the immediate term, there is an immediate and increasingly dire need.
Yeah, it's over, because they state the problem, and as you can tell, all right, people are figuring it out. Like, wait, these niggas don't give a damn, you know? The repeat, all right, the repeat, neglect, okay, of the American citizen, okay? The constant neglect, all right, the constant attack and war against the American citizen. And see, now it's going more overt, because overt means it's out in the open, because for the longest they've been in a covert war with you, psychologically, okay, chemically, okay, but now it's getting more overt, and that's why you got boots on the ground, okay, it's trying to justify for more boots, okay, and they want you people, all right, to riot, to be mad, to be pissed. They're doing these things to get a reaction from you. They want a reaction, and I believe that they're not getting the reaction that they really want. All right, and eventually they're going to take matters into their own hand and become their own opposition, man. Okay, because they want you people pissed. Okay, they want the division. They want the left versus the right, the taxpayers versus the dependents. Okay, they want you people that know what they're up to. Okay, that they want all of this, man. Okay, because they just want unrest. Okay, so they just playing in your face now. All right, so let's go here. And you people going to vote. All of it was for nothing. Every time you go vote, it's for nothing. Okay, every time you go march, it's for nothing. They don't care. Okay, people are finally realizing that these people just don't care. They don't give a damn. Okay, y'all can stop talking about the kids. They don't give a damn. Children going to start. They don't care. Never have. Never will. It's not in them to. Okay, well, the pregnant woman, they don't care. All right. Well, it's not right. Why they send 40 billion to Argentina? They don't care. They do what they want to do. What are you going to do about it? Okay. They do exactly what they want to do. And they're asking you, what are you going to do about it? Okay. The Congress, which is supposed to be the check and balance for the power of the president, they're completely asleep. Okay, they're completely asleep. The things that a president would need Congress approval on, Trump does it every day without their approval. Okay, you see, the presidential office is becoming a dictator right before your eyes. Okay, and the elites are gonna use that dictatorship, okay, to forge a new world. Okay, so if you're still arguing about, it's the Democrats that got the government shut down, it's the Republicans that got the government shut down, you way behind. Okay, you way behind. You see? So this is Isaiah 32:5. It says, in that day, ungodly fools will not be heroes, scoundrels will not be respected. Okay, and see, now people are starting to see this man for what he is. Okay. It's taking a lot of knots on the head, but now people are seeing like these niggas don't give a damn. You see? All right, it's all a scam. Everything's a scam. The economy, okay, the the government. You see what marriage is supposed to be, a scam. Okay, children, family, all these things are a scam in this society. Anything that you tie to this society, because you gotta send your child, all right, to a school to get scammed. You know, where they just teach the children how to be a goddamn fool and obedient to them. Okay, you go to college, you go just to go get in debt. You know, to make sure you start off life in debt. Okay, with a degree that could, you know, with a degree, and by the time you get out of college, it's worthless. AI to replace that. You went to school 4 years, and that whole 4 years they've been working on automating your major. You know, then he gonna tell you like, look, that's not gonna be. You know, you think he gonna stop like the jobs that they're replacing? You think he gonna stop taking tuition for people that still want to go into that field? No. Okay, everything you can think of in this system is a scam. All right. And you read this definition for scam, it says scam, a dishonest scheme to gain money or possessions from someone fraudulently, you know? And another thing bigger than money, they steal your soul, man, your spirit. They steal you. You know, they put so many enchantments on you till you're not even you anymore. Okay? It said from someone fraudulently, especially a complex and prolonged one, man. Okay, because this man just has so many spider webs of confusion of how this system works, man. It's like, God damn, he got so much going on. You know, we went into the bankers and how they, okay, profit off wars, and you know, it's like this nigga, you know, this person, this government or that government, you know, they borrow from this government to pay this government, but it's really going to the elites, and then the elites, you know, it's like, God damn. But at the end of the day, who suffers the most? The common man, the working class. Okay, you're just a cog in their machine. Okay, so reading down, it says, for fools speak foolishness and make evil plans. Okay, and the government is fully ran, all right, by corporations now. You know, there used to be a tug of war between the government and corporations, but now they're fully ran by corporations. Okay, it says they practice ungodliness and spread false teachings about the Lord. Okay, Christianity, you see, Roman Catholicism with Christianity comes out of it. Okay, that's why uh, uh you know, the Roman Catholic Church is known as what, the false prophet. All right, because that plantation Christianity that is pushed throughout the world. All right, which Esau, you know, he used the Bible to push Edomite supremacy. You know, that's why I say he covered the faces of the judges thereof. You see, and that's why people have looked at this man as innocent and holy. Okay, in the midst of him doing this wickedness, man. Okay, and it says they deprive the hungry of food and give no water to the thirsty, man. You know, and it's spiritual and literal, man. You know, and even the foods of this system. Okay, even this food system is a scam, to where you're eating mostly chemicals and empty calories. You know, this food system is about people just eating empty, all right, calories, you know, and chemicals, man, with no nutrients. You see? But then, you know, this place is starved of spiritual food, and that's why the Lord had to do a miracle. You know, he made floods in the dry ground, which is word, which is true. You know, him awaken the prophets. That's why I say he that, all right, believe it on me, out of his belly or out of his mind shall flow what? Rivers of living water. Okay? So for the elect, we have a buffet in the midst of, all right, a spiritual famine. Okay? In America, man. And now uh it's getting ready. All right, the devil's getting ready to bring a literal famine. You see? So reading on, it says the smooth tricks of scoundrels are evil. They plot crooked schemes, they lie to convict the poor, even when the cause of the poor is just. Okay? And this is speaking of, you know, the elect, beginning with the men on the front line. Okay, because you know, in the midst of his scheme, because he had so many schemes, the man's all over the place. All right, but one of his schemes, you know, is to make, okay, the prophets, you know, a boogeyman, okay, that he has to deal with, you know, just because we're speaking of a righteous kingdom of order, okay, of true wisdom, you know, but he's gonna paint us as hate, you know, with threat, you see, and it's all part of the game because see, we know what it is. You see, you people are constantly disappointed because you expect the devil not to be the devil, okay, and that's where you're constantly, all right, disappointed. Now I want to go here, um, and this is why I say, you know, Eve, you can pat yourself on the back. All right, you done made it to the top of the charts. Okay, you done made yourself look like a complete ass. Okay, with this social media. Okay, and you've been isolated. And see, the Lord finna deal. See, the Lord finna open up in judgment. The Lord ain't isolating Eve for nothing. Okay, the Lord finna open up. All right, and this monster that has been created on this government assistance. All right, because Esau has created a monster with this government assistance, man. You know, the majority. Now people are on it that need it, you know. Some brothers and sisters, you know, use these things, you know, because they use this world, not abuse it. All right. But the majority of the nigger woman, you know, have been turned into a monster, okay, on this government assistance, man. And the world is looking at it like, what the fuck is wrong with her? You know? So let's play this. And like I say, Eve, pat yourself on the back. All right. You finally made it to the top. All right. And the world is looking like, what the hell is going on with this nigga, man? So let's play this.
An emergency moment in the United States. Are we about to face a food stamp civil war in this country when Democrats and the deep state intentionally cut off food stamps and the EBT program for low-income Americans? They did so intentionally, of course, as part of the government shutdown. Why? Why would they do that? Well, because it's the perfect deep state catalyst to spark a revolution. Come this Saturday, SNAP recipients will not see recipients show up due, this, of course, due to the government shutdown. So those cards will not be filled with food stamp monies. Black women are taking to social media, specifically black women like TikTok, to say that they will rob and kill white people. In fact, one woman says she's going to eat white people tasting that delicious cracker if she doesn't get her food stamps. Watch.
I just wanted to come real fast just to make this video, just to make something very, very clear to the white man. Black Americans do not care about your government shutdown, and Black Americans do not care about you taking away our EBT and our government assistance, because Black Americans never depended on the American government to take care of us and feed us, because we never could. We were never able to depend on the government, in spite of what you may say and what you may try to force us to believe. So you can sit back and you can mock, you can laugh, and you can think that you're about to starve us to death. But I'm here to let you know that we are going to eat regardless, even if we have to hunt you animals down and roast and eat you, the delectable crackers and cheese.
Okay, I just want to say,
Okay.
I would like to let you know that Black people reduced their own poverty level by 80% before the Civil Rights Act was enacted by LBG, who was a racist. So Black people are more than capable of rising themselves out of poverty without any government assistance. She needs to read her Thomas Sowell. I just want to let her know that because it belies actual economics.
Yeah, because post-slavery, like we said at the beginning, you know, Jake was able to, Jake had family, Jake had structure, all right? The men were men of skill, the women were women of skill, all right? Because you had Jake, men and women that were inventors, you know, that invented a lot of things that make society convenient today came from Israelite men, you know, and Israelite women, okay? This monster that, you know, that we see now all in the screen, okay, is a creation of Esau Edom, the devil, okay, and making you dependent on him. All right, making this devil, made you dependent on him. Okay, and they did a lot of psychological damage. Okay, to the nigger woman, man. These nigger women that depend on this government, they become entitled on another level. Okay, and bugged out. Because they're going to get the worst food. We're just going to go into it. They're getting free food. They go get the worst food. Okay, and then they got the drugs, and you got the enchantments with the music, and then you got, being promiscuous on top of that, and they had just created a goddamn monster, man. And this is what's being presented to the world. Okay, when they think of the black woman. Okay, well, all of them are not like that, but this is the representative. Okay, and this is what's on mainstream media now. Okay, and the Lord, and you best believe these certain militias, all right, and these mercenaries, they just sit here taking all this in. All right, these Edomites is clicking up, and Eve talking about going to take. Now you made yourself the biggest target, one of the biggest targets in America when this shit go down, when there's civil unrest. Okay, but going back to it, like she was saying, Jake came up after chattel slavery, after the emancipation, which was just a transfer of slavery, from private to corporate. All right, but within that system, Jake was able to establish themselves, man. Many thriving communities. Okay, government assistance. All right, that brought the perpetual poverty to Jake. Okay, because it disrupted the natural order of family. Okay, and it disrupted, okay, the drive to have a skill, to be self-sufficient. Okay, and that created generational poverty when you go into government assistance, man. Okay, so let's play some more.
The idea that you have always been dependent is not true. I'm sorry, the little.
With killing it, why does that keep doing that? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
What's happening with our? I don't know what happens back there, David. Maybe you can take care. Black women, TikTokers are saying if food stamps are cut off, they're going to steal whatever food they want from people that are using their own money to buy food. Watch.
And people are going to start, I'm telling you, this is going to be a thing. People are going to start, instead of stealing groceries from the stores, they're going to start watching people go to their cars. And they're going to take all of their groceries. And you know what the store going to do? Not our problem. Not our business.
Okay, so you're encouraging people who buy groceries lawfully with their own money, who work hard and try to provide for their family, just go out and attack those people and steal their food. Okay, because the government won't give you free food or free SNAP benefits. Take those groceries, another girl says. Just go and take those groceries. Watch.
If you got to take those groceries, go ahead and take them. If you got to walk smooth out the door, just take them. I don't care. I support you. I support that message, and I'm going to mind my business.
Yeah, so just go ahead and do it. It's no big deal. Women also showing online already in preparation for the food stamps. They've already been stealing and going to different grocery stores with trash bags. Just grab, and she says, just use a purse, use a trash bag, go to the store and just grab whatever food you can. She's loaded up on lobster and steaks, which is hilarious because most people who use food stamps don't buy lobster or steak. They buy cheese balls and cheese puffs and processed food. But anyway, she has a whole bag full of groceries that she stole from the store, and she's encouraging other people to do it.
Hell, they talking about no food stamps. Y'all can take y'all purses if y'all want to. Y'all can take y'all purses if y'all want to. I ain't taking no purse. Yeah, steak. What you mean, steak? We about to eat good over here, baby. I ain't stopping shit.
All right. Just so you understand, 12% of Americans are on SNAP program or on food stamps. Overwhelmingly, white Americans are on food stamps. The most people who use food stamps are white Americans.
That tracks because the highest group of poverty is white.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting then why black men are now taking to Twitter and they're taking to TikTok and they're saying, it's very curious. Why are you not hearing from fit black men? Why are you not hearing from white people? Why are you hearing just from black women who are saying go out and steal and loot stores? Listen.
So the government is taking away EBT cards. And you know who's not complaining? Black men. I thought we were supposed to be broke. You know, especially fit black men, as one video girl said. I thought we were supposed to be broke. I don't even see white folks complaining since they're supposed to be more on welfare. Where are their videos? I do see one group complaining.
Black women. Other black men are calling out this bullshit, and they are pointing out that these people are so upset about their food stamps. It's not about the food. They're selling their food stamps, and they're making they're getting cash then to buy other things.
All right, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Like, the real reason why a lot of people are upset about this whole food stamps, SNAP benefit thing, bro, is because they're selling their food stamps, bro. They're selling them. I'm telling you, they are selling their food stamps, bro. You know how many people in New York and other states right now are going to the corner store, the deli, and they're selling their food stamps, bro? They're selling, that's why they're getting like $4,000, $3,000 in food stamps, and they're selling it for cash. They'll get $4,000 in food stamps, and they'll just take like $1,000 in cash.
Yeah. One woman who works at a liquor store made this point. This woman gets it. She agrees with him. She knows these people are selling their food stamps to get cash, and they come in and they watch.
You know how many people I've seen sell food stamps to get their hair done, nails done, their toes done, buy an outfit to go to the club, drugs? A lot. If I've seen it, other people seen it. You know what? That's why people don't give two fucks. I've seen people, women, get a new man. The man got the food stamp. Now, the food stamp is for her and her kids. The man has the food stamp card and he in the grocery store buying shit that he want. People see that shit. You know what? They don't give two fucks. Some kids go to school and get breakfast, lunch, or dinner because mama done sold the food stamps for shit that she wanted.
Yeah, going to the club.
Now, auntie telling on y'all ass, goddamn. You know? It's finna be bad, man. And what's happening, the Lord is isolating, you know, the nigga woman for judgment. Okay? You see, everything is, the chickens is coming home to roost. Okay? It's gonna be bad for the nigga woman. All right? And no one is coming. Okay, she's used to being rescued, you know, by the system, you know, by simp niggas, by these, you know, because the nigga woman have her own personal, all right, group of niggas that go do, you know, her dirty work for, you know, she just been, you know, a queen in this, you know, a little, you know, a little goddess in this setup. Okay, but that's being torn down, all right, and she's been isolated for judgment, man. You know, and the earth is complaining about Esau and the nigga woman, man, the serpent and Eve. You know, y'all made like Elder Apostle Ariam Lab always speak about their Gardenian pact going back to the garden. Okay, so let's play this some more.
Getting her hair done, everything else, and she says life is going to start. These people are going to start experiencing life for the first time. So what's really going on here? Does this benefit Democrats? Are deep state forces here want a revolution? Does it benefit Donald Trump? Does it benefit us to be in a bit of a civil war when these food stamps run out? That's what they want, to foment this discontent. Mike Adams is the founder of Brighton.ai. Screen name on X. He's the founder of naturalnews.com. So this battle, you've been covering it on your show, seems to be unfolding where we've got about 2 days left before we're going to see something happen. I don't know what. I don't know if there's going to be massive civil unrest, some sort of a civil war, people freaking out, robbing people, looting stores, trying to get groceries because the food stamps program under the government shutdown shuts down on November 1st, the SNAP program. Before we get into like the politics of it all, Mike, I thought this program was supposed to, it was initially started to really help people. It was to help people who were impoverished, who didn't have food, who were starving. But this thing hasn't really lived up to that at all. Where did this thing run afoul?
Well, I think when it also became corporate welfare for the processed food manufacturers who greatly benefit from this program. I mean, it's shameful as a culture that 1 in 8 Americans have to have their food paid for by somebody else in the country. That's a runaway problem by itself. But think about how the retailers, even Walmart, benefits from this. The banks benefit from the commerce transaction fees, and then the processed food companies benefit. And think about the long-term costs of this, because these processed foods, in my opinion, as a nutritionist and a food scientist, they contribute to long-term chronic degenerative disease, which raises healthcare costs in the long run. So we're paying people to eat food that will cause diseases that we then have to pay for later on down the road. That is a cycle into despair and disease, and we've got to stop that one way or another.
Now, when we did this story earlier in the show, I was saying a lot of these people will use the food stamp program and sell their food stamps. This is verified. They go and buy alcohol. They go get their hair done. They go. This is happening. This is well documented.
All right, her father has made it to the top. All right, so let's get some precepts, man. I'll put this in the chat as well. Everybody talking about you selling your stamps on Redacted. You done made it to Redacted about selling stamps and getting your hair done. God damn. Let's oh boy. So yeah, let's go here to the book of 2nd Esdras. All right. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 9 and verse let's start in verse 9. It says, then they, all right, 2nd Esdras 9:9 says, then they shall be in pitiful case, which have abused my ways, that they, all right, and that they have cast them away despitefully, shall dwell in torments, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. Okay, so what we're finna see is our people in pitiful case. Okay, and the nigga woman, all right, she's going to be the most pitiful case of the American demographic. Okay, because she's become proud, entitled. She has a lot of wickedness on her hand. She's the progenitor of nigga culture. Okay, when you look at nigga culture, it's the masterpiece of Esau and the nigga woman. All right, and it says, and they have cast them away despitefully, shall dwell in torments, man. The nigga woman finna dwell in torments, man. Okay, nigga culture in general, nigga woman, all right, these little nigga babies, all of them dwell in torments. Niggas, YNs, because they're a product of, the YNs are a product, okay, of Edomite enchantments and government assistance, okay, and Eve. All right, and voila, you get a young nigga. Okay, I say this nigga wear the hoodie in the middle of the summer, don't sweat. Okay, this nigga don't know how to fix on no car, but this nigga car never break down. Like this is the result, okay, of Eve and Esau, the serpent, man. Okay, it said, for such as in their life have received benefit and have not known me. Okay, you see? So here it is, they received all these benefits from this system, but they haven't come into the knowledge of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Okay, it says, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. Okay, so here it is, they have the liberty to come into the truth. It was grace period for them to come into the truth, and all our people have done is despise their liberty and use their liberty just to receive, the benefits of this society, whether it's government assistance, whether it's chasing a career, whether it's clout, fame, whatever it is that they've chased, that they put their energy towards in this grace period outside the truth, okay, and ignored repentance. So now we're in the time of judgment, and this was next. Okay, right now the Lord, because when you in the courtroom, you put all the facts, you present all the facts. Okay, so now all the facts and the evidence and the charges is coming out. Okay, then the judgment. Okay, which is verse 12. The same must know it after death by pain. Okay, the same must know after death by pain, and that's what's coming next. All right, and this is the mindset we should be in, and therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished. All right, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and whom the world is created. Okay, so let the dead bury the dead. All right, I said we're in a time we're circumspect, but whatever niggas got going on, let them niggas figure it out over there, man. They trusted in this system. They ignored the prophets. Okay, now 2/3 is finna suffer. Okay, you proud Edomites. Okay, you're finna suffer. Okay, it's finna be a lot of death by pain in America, man. And the Lord gonna make it known that it's Him. Okay, so we're here, to teach the elect, man. We're here to build up, those that believe. Okay, so that's the point. Lord will, you brothers. All right. And you sisters edified once again. All right. We want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.